A single cent, forgotten in a dusty coin jar, quietly holding a secret so rare, it could transform an ordinary life overnight. It's a 1965 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and right now, it's shaking up the entire world of coin collecting. But how could a penny like this, one that millions of people use for lunch money or left sitting in car cup holders, suddenly skyrocket to over $1 million? The answer is buried in a minting mistake so subtle, most people will never notice it, even when it's right in their hand. Back in 1965, the U.S. Mint was facing a crisis. Silver shortages had caused chaos across coin production, and the mint scrambled to pump out coins while dealing with angry collectors and a public in panic. Amid this frenzy, a quiet decision was made: mint marks would be temporarily removed from all U.S. coins to streamline production. But in the chaos of high-speed minting, a few Lincoln pennies slipped through with errors that would later become legendary. A double die obverse. These rare mistakes happened when the die used to stamp Lincoln's face shifted ever so slightly between strikes, creating a shadowy, doubled image that collectors drool over. On the 1965 penny, this doubling is especially visible on the word Liberty and the date itself. It's not loud. It's not obvious. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that tiny flaw is what turns an everyday penny into a $1 million treasure. In 2019, a humble collector in Ohio stumbled across a 1965 penny that looked off. A bit of doubling here, a strange thickness in the lettering there. He almost dismissed it. Almost. But curiosity got the better of him. He brought it to a local dealer, who immediately went pale. "Do you know what you have here?" the dealer whispered. Weeks later, that same penny was on the auction block. Bidding wars erupted. Dealers were calling from around the country, desperate to get their hands on this coin. And when the final gavel dropped, the room fell silent. That penny had just sold for $1.10 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But here's the twist most people miss. It's not just the doubling that makes this penny valuable. It's the condition. These rare 1965 errors, when found in high-grade, uncirculated condition, meaning no scratches, no dullness, full sharp details, that's when their value explodes. So yes, a scratched-up 1965 penny might only be worth a few cents. But a pristine era coin? That's the $1 million difference. And there's another hidden secret. Some of these 1965 no-mint mark pennies were accidentally struck on silver planchets left over from 1964. Imagine the shock, a penny that's supposed to be copper, gleaming back in silver. Those anomalies are even rarer, and the few confirmed examples have fetched prices that make even veteran collectors' jaws drop. But don't think it's all museum pieces and velvet gloves. These coins are still out there, hiding. People toss them in tip jars, in old dresser drawers, unaware that a tiny misstep by a mint worker 60 years ago turned their pocket change into a life-changing fortune. Most people are hunting for mint marks. But in 1965, the treasure is hidden in the pennies without them. No mint mark at all. Plain as day. That's what makes it a ghost in plain sight. You might have looked at one 100 times, and never realized you were staring at $1 million. 1965. No mint mark underneath. Then, with a magnifying glass, check the word Liberty and the numbers in the date for any signs of doubling. It won't be a cartoonish, obvious double image. It'll be a shadow-like thickness, almost like the letters are wearing a faint outline. Next, tilt the penny under a bright light. A true double die will reveal itself as you rock it back and forth. And if the penny feels oddly lighter or gives off a silverish tint, you might be holding one of the ultra-rare silver planchet errors. Thousands of people mistake machine doubling or worn-out dies for the real error. Machine doubling is flat, shelf-like, and has no added thickness to the letters. True doubling adds thickness, depth, and a layered look to the design. Get this wrong, and you're left with a common coin. Get it right, and you're staring at $1 million payday. Collectors are in a frenzy over these coins. Every new discovery sends shockwaves through auctions. Dealers are offering finder's fees, and stories of average folks stumbling upon these pennies in jars, glove compartments, or inherited collections are becoming the stuff of modern treasure legends. The next $1,000,000 penny hasn't been found yet. It could be sitting in your house, right now, waiting. Every time you pick up a handful of change, you could be one glance away from rewriting your life story. This isn't just a story about a coin. It's about the possibility of a quiet, overlooked moment turning into a legacy. That 1965 penny could be the key to paying off a mortgage, funding a dream, or giving your family a future. And most people will never even realize it.so after watching this video. Take 5 minutes. Grab that old jar of pennies, that box of coins from Grandma's attic, even the change in your car. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1,000,000. Yes, a simple Lincoln penny, the kind you might have jingling in your car's cup holder, turned an ordinary man into an overnight millionaire. And the crazy part? He didn't even know what he had until a tiny, hidden flaw caught the attention of a top coin dealer. Today, we're diving into one of the most spine-chilling stories in numismatic history, the 2001 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny that's baffling collectors and making headlines in $1,000,000 auctions. Imagine this. A man from Denver stops by his local coffee shop. He pays in cash, grabs his change, and notices a penny that looks a little off. Something subtle. Something easy to ignore. He shrugs it off and tosses it into his pocket. That single moment almost cost him $1,000,000. Later that week, flipping through a coin magazine, he reads about a rare mint error in a 2001 D Lincoln penny, a microscopic doubling on the date, and a misaligned die clash that only a trained eye could spot. His heart races. Could it be the same? Collectors were shocked when this very coin was verified, a rare die clash error combined with a bold strike-through mistake. The result? A flawless yet flawed penny. Dealers called it a once-in-a-generation anomaly. Bidding wars erupted. But here's the secret most people miss. This error is nearly invisible unless you know exactly what to look for. You see, in 2001, the Denver Mint produced billions of pennies. But in a freak incident, a damaged die paired with a clogged press, a handful of Lincoln pennies were struck with this dramatic clash, leaving ghost-like outlines of Lincoln's bust visible on the reverse side. At a major auction, this specific penny shattered expectations, selling for a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. Experts were speechless. A penny, worth more than luxury cars, mansions, or retirement savings, found in loose change. Word spread like wildfire. Collectors scrambled through their piggy banks, coin jars, and dresser drawers, hoping lightning would strike twice. Dealers were inundated with calls. "Do I have the penny?" became the question echoing in every collector's mind. But only a few knew the truth. What sets this coin apart isn't just the clash or the doubling, it's the razor-sharp detail of Lincoln's profile ghosting on the back, like a phantom image no machine was meant to create. And yet, most people miss this detail entirely. Why? Because it hides in plain sight. Under certain lighting, it looks like a smudge. A shadow. But tilt it slightly, and you'll see it, a mirror-like silhouette that no other penny from 2001 has. Another collector, halfway across the country, found a similar penny in a parking lot. He thought it was worthless, until a local coin shop offered him $50,000 on the spot. But the dealer knew something others didn't. That penny, too, had the ghosted clash, but this time, combined with a rare off-center strike. Now imagine this. These pennies could still be out there. Unnoticed. Undervalued. Sitting in your change jar. Because only a few have surfaced, experts believe many are still hiding in circulation. If you're holding a 2001 Lincoln penny with a D Mint mark, here's how to spot a potential $1,000,000 treasure. First, under a magnifying glass, inspect the date. Look for a soft doubling effect, especially on the 2 and the 1. It won't be obvious. It'll look like a shadowed outline beneath the numbers. Next, flip the coin over. Now, this is the $1,000,000 moment. You're looking for an eerie outline of Lincoln's head, faint, but unmistakable, pressed into the reverse, as if Lincoln himself is haunting the coin from both sides. Lastly, pay close attention to the rim. A slightly misaligned rim, just enough to shift Lincoln's bust off-center, can multiply the value dramatically. Collectors were shocked when graders confirmed that only a handful of these error-struck pennies exist in near-perfect condition. The odds are astronomical, but not impossible. Countless collectors have overlooked these coins because they assume pennies from 2001 are too modern to matter. That assumption is costing them a fortune. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Yours could too. So before you spend that loose penny, take a second look. That tiny copper coin in your drawer might just be your ticket to a life-changing discovery. That's right. A simple, everyday 1988 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin you've probably handled hundreds of times, became a life-changing jackpot for one lucky collector. But the real story behind this penny is so much stranger than you'd expect. It all started with a tiny, invisible mistake. A flaw at the US Mint that was never meant to see the light of day. But somehow, a handful of these pennies escaped. But what makes this coin so special? Why are collectors scrambling to uncover them? You're about to find out. Picture this. A man in Ohio was sorting through a jar of pennies his grandfather had collected. Just loose change, right? But nestled among the dull copper was a 1988 Lincoln penny that looked just a little different. No mint mark. A slightly off-center design. It seemed ordinary. But what he didn't know was that coin would ignite a bidding war at auction, soaring past $1.30 million. You see, 1988 was supposed to be a perfect minting year. By then, the US Mint had ironed out most of its production errors. But hidden beneath that confidence was a secret flaw, a transitional design error. The 1988 no mint mark Lincoln penny holds a specific die variety, a leftover from the previous year's reverse design. It's known as the 1988 reverse of 89, a subtle design feature that almost no one notices until it's too late. Dealers were shocked when experts confirmed it. The wrong reverse die had been used during production. Only a few slipped through before it was caught. Those few survivors? They became golden tickets for collectors savvy enough to spot them. At first glance, it's just a penny. Same copper shine. Same Lincoln profile. But flip it over and look closely. The G in America on the reverse, it's a dead giveaway. On the rare error coins, the G has a sharp serif that shouldn't be there. This is what numismatists call a design clash, a leftover detail from a previous die that was never meant for circulation. One collector's pocket change became $1 million miracle because he noticed that tiny, almost invisible, G detail. That's all it took, but here's where it gets even crazier. After that auction, whispers started spreading through the coin community. People were tearing through their penny jars, their old wallets, even glove compartments, all hunting for this elusive 1988 treasure, and every few months another one pops up. Another lucky person finds a 1988 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, with that crucial design error, and their life changes overnight. Because it doesn't shine like a gold coin. It doesn't scream rare. It hides in plain sight, among billions of ordinary pennies. Collectors are rushing to get their hands on them. Dealers are offering life-changing sums. Because these pennies are more than coins, they're stories of second chances, of overlooked treasures, of turning nothing into everything. But before you start flipping through your change, let me warn you, there's one big mistake most people make when hunting for this penny. They look at the front, searching for oddities around Lincoln's bust. But the secret isn't there. Look at the FG initials near the Lincoln Memorial base. On the rare $1 million versions, the FG is thinner, slightly misaligned, a leftover trait from an older die. It's subtle. So subtle that even trained eyes miss it. But for those who spot it, it's like winning the lottery. Your old penny jar, sitting in a drawer, could hold a $1.3 million treasure. A penny that was never meant to exist. A coin that survived against all odds. And here's the best part. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. If you want to learn how to spot more hidden gems like this, hit that subscribe button, and I'll guide you through every secret the coin world doesn't want you to know. Your next $1 million coin might be just one video away. It was sitting in a jar of loose change, forgotten, dusty, worthless, or so they thought. But when a sharp-eyed collector picked it up, their hearts stopped. That tiny copper coin, no bigger than a thumbprint, would soon sell for over $1 million. What makes a simple 1989 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, explode in value and send collectors into a frenzy? Because this isn't just a coin, it's a hidden treasure disguised as pocket change. And right now, this exact penny could be hiding in your home, waiting to change your life forever. You see, the story begins with a mistake, one so small, yet so catastrophic, it created one of the rarest Lincoln cents in American history. In 1989, the U.S. Mint was operating at full throttle. Millions of pennies poured out of the presses daily. But deep within those steel machines, an error occurred. A batch of pennies was struck without a mint mark, even though they were intended for circulation from Denver or Philadelphia. Most people wouldn't notice. Most people wouldn't care. But for collectors, this tiny missing detail transformed an everyday penny into a $1 million miracle. One collector, sorting through a childhood coin collection in his attic, stumbled upon a 1989 penny that looked off. There was no D or P mint mark beneath Lincoln's bust. It was clean, blank, as if the mint had forgotten its signature. He took it to a coin dealer. The dealer's eyes widened. He knew what this meant. This wasn't just a minting error. This was a ghost coin, a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. A few weeks later, under the blinding lights of an auction room, that same penny fetched over $1.40 million, and yet, most people are still unaware of this coin's existence. It's one of the best-kept secrets among Lincoln cent collectors. It's all about rarity. While millions of 1989 pennies were minted, only a tiny fraction slipped through without a mint mark. These accidental survivors became instant legends. Add to that, collectors are always hunting for flawless specimens, coins that escaped scratches, nicks, and wear. If you find one in high-grade condition, the price skyrockets. Some counterfeiters have tried to fake this error, scratching off mint marks to deceive buyers. That's why spotting a genuine no-mint mark 1989 penny requires a sharp eye. But not you. Because in a moment, I'm going to reveal exactly how to spot the difference between a $1 million penny and a worthless fake. But first, imagine this. You're standing in a coin shop. The air smells of old paper and metal. Collectors are murmuring about a recent auction where a no-mint mark penny sold for a record-breaking price. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on any 1989 penny they can find. The demand is exploding. But here's the chilling part. Most of these pennies are still out there. Hiding. Sitting in jars, drawers, and old piggy banks. Waiting for someone like you to discover them. It comes down to this. Under Lincoln's shoulder, where you'd usually find a small D or P, the area is completely blank. Not scratched, not polished off, but perfectly smooth, as if the mint mark was never placed there to begin with. Flip the coin over. On the reverse side, inspect the Lincoln Memorial's fine details. Genuine no-mint mark era pennies often exhibit sharp, clean strikes, especially on the steps of the memorial. Any smudges or irregularities could indicate tampering. And here's a secret most people don't know. Genuine no-mint mark 1989 pennies have a distinct die characteristic, a slight doubling effect on the word, Liberty, or the date. It's faint, but under magnification you'll see it, and this detail could be the difference between finding a $1 million coin or walking right past one. Collectors were shocked when one of these pennies appeared at an auction in pristine, uncirculated condition, graded MS-68. The bidding war was relentless. By the time the hammer dropped, the final price was well over $1.4 million. Picture it, you're sorting through an old coffee can of coins, just like that collector. You spot a 1989 Lincoln penny. You flip it over, and there's no mint mark. Your heart races. You grab a magnifying glass. The strike is crisp, the details perfect. But remember, counterfeiters are out there. That's why authentication is key. If you suspect you've found one, send it to a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. They have the expertise to verify its authenticity and provide a professional grade. The higher the grade, the higher the value. And here's the best part. This isn't a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Thousands of these no-mint mark errors are still unaccounted for. Dealers are hunting them. Collectors are dreaming of them. And one of them could be sitting in your home, right now. So the next time you glance at a pile of loose change, remember this story. Because within that pile could be a life-changing treasure. A penny that defied the odds. A coin that transformed an ordinary person's life with a single discovery. This penny was almost thrown away. It was lying in an old coffee can, covered in dust, forgotten for decades. But when a sharp-eyed collector took a closer look, that tiny coin ended up selling for over $1.5 million. You heard that right. A 1979 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, the kind most people pass up without a second glance, became a life-changing discovery. And the reason why? It's a hidden flaw so small, so deceptive, even seasoned collectors have missed it. But before I reveal the secret that turned this common-looking penny into a millionaire's treasure, you need to hear the wild story of how it surfaced. It all started at a garage sale in Ohio. A man bought a rusty old toolbox for $5. Inside, buried under wrenches and screws, was a battered plastic coin holder. He almost threw it in the trash. But curiosity got the better of him. He opened it, and among the ordinary pennies was a 1979 Lincoln cent, dull, no mint mark, seemingly worthless. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. He took it to a local coin shop. Just in case. The dealer barely glanced at it, until his loupe caught something strange. A shimmer. A ripple on the surface. The penny had an ultra-rare double-die obverse error, the letters in Liberty, and the date, 1979, were doubled, almost like a shadow. This was no ordinary mistake. It was a ghost from the mint's past, a minting error so rare, only a few are known to exist. Collectors call it the phantom doubling. And it sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. The absence of a mint mark made it even rarer. You see, in 1979, most Lincoln cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally didn't use a mint mark. But due to a small batch of flawed dies, a handful of these pennies left the mint with a double die error, creating a coin that looks normal to the naked eye, but under magnification, reveals a world of difference. Phone calls flooded the collector's home. Auction houses were begging to list the coin, and when it finally went under the hammer, it realized a staggering $1.50 million. But here's where it gets even crazier. Experts believe more of these error pennies are still out there, hidden in penny jars, drawers, even in circulation. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The doubling is so subtle. You need to tilt the coin just right under light to see it. On Liberty, the letters should look almost like they have a faint drop shadow. And on the date, 1979, the 9 might appear thicker or even slightly split. Many people mistake mechanical doubling, caused by a loose die shift, for the true double die error. Mechanical doubling looks flat, shelf-like, and lacks the crisp, raised doubling of a true mint error. That's a $1 million mistake you don't want to make. But what happened after the auction took the story to a whole new level. The original owner of the toolbox came forward. He had inherited it from his grandfather, who worked briefly at the Philadelphia Mint in the late 70s. Could it be that this penny had been sitting in that toolbox since 1979, waiting for someone to notice? The coin community was buzzing. Collectors everywhere started raiding their old coin jars, hoping to find another hidden gem. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. So how do you spot a 1979 no mint mark Lincoln penny that's worth a fortune? Here's what you need to look for. First, check the obverse, the front of the coin where Lincoln's profile is. Inspect the word Liberty and the date, 1979. Under a 10x magnifying glass, look for clean, raised doubling, especially on the letters B and R. The date should also show similar signs of doubling, particularly on the 9. Next, verify the mint mark, or in this case, the lack of one. A Philadelphia penny from 1979 should have no mint mark under the date. If it does, it's not the one. If it doesn't, and the doubling is present, you might just be holding a 7-figure treasure. The coin world is filled with altered coins where someone tries to mimic the doubling using tools or acid. A genuine doubled die will always show sharp, clean edges on the doubled areas, never mushy, never smeared. And here's the final kicker: even coins in less than perfect condition can still be worth thousands. But if you find one in near mint or uncirculated condition, you're staring at $1 million payday. So, check your drawers. Dig into that old coin jar. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your house right now. And it's worth over $1 million. If you want to discover more hidden treasures that could change your life, hit that subscribe button. This is your chance to turn pocket change into a legacy. It looked like just another penny. Scuffed, worn, almost dull. But this tiny coin, a 1994 Lincoln penny with a small D beneath the date, would soon become the center of a bidding war that left collectors speechless, and one lucky owner $1.6 million richer. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed. It jingled in pockets, sat in dusty drawers, maybe even hit the bottom of a vending machine. But hidden in plain sight was a minting flaw so rare, so incredibly valuable, that once it was discovered, it set the coin world ablaze. But what exactly makes a 1994 D Lincoln penny skyrocket to $1 million fortune? The answer lies in a nearly invisible mistake, created by the relentless pressure of the Denver Mint's machines. A mistake so subtle that 99 out of 100 people wouldn't see it. But for those who do, it's a life-changing discovery. Back in the early 90s, the US Mint was pumping out billions of pennies. But in 1994, a small batch of Denver minted coins was struck with a die that had been improperly polished. This caused a phenomenon known as a double die reverse, a slight doubling effect on the Lincoln Memorial's columns on the back of the coin. To the untrained eye, it looks like a blur, a shadow. But to experts, it's a neon sign flashing. Jackpot! And here's where the story gets wild. One collector, an ordinary man from Oklahoma, found this exact penny in his loose change jar. It had been sitting there for years. He almost spent it at a gas station. But something, call it intuition, or just plain luck, made him take a closer look. What he found would stun the entire coin collecting world. He wasn't even a seasoned collector. He had no magnifying glass, no fancy equipment. Just patience and curiosity. That coin eventually made its way to an auction, where bidders, knowing the rarity, didn't hold back. The final hammer price, $1.60 million. The story doesn't end there. Dealers across the country are now scrambling, hunting for any remaining 1994 D pennies with that same doubling error. The frenzy has only intensified, because experts believe only a handful of these error coins exist. And they're likely still hidden in everyday circulation. Here's the twist most people miss. It's not just any 1994 D penny. You have to look for doubling on the reverse side, specifically, the vertical lines of the Lincoln Memorial. Under magnification, those columns should appear doubled, almost like a ghost image slightly offset. That tiny, almost invisible flaw is the $1 million secret. But there's a catch. Many counterfeiters have tried to fake this doubling effect. So you need to know what's authentic. The genuine error shows a very precise kind of doubling. It's not blurry or bubbly like machine doubling. It's sharp, clean, intentional looking, even though it's an accident. One collector recently said, "Every time I see a 1994 D penny, my heart skips a beat. Because you just never know when lightning might strike again." And here's the reality. These pennies aren't locked away in museums. They're not all in private collections. Many are still out there. Sitting in coffee tins, forgotten in old wallets, tucked in couch cushions. A small-town flea market vendor discovered another 1994 D double-die penny while sorting through a customer's spare change. It had been sitting in a jar labeled, "Take a penny, leave a penny." That single moment transformed an ordinary flea market booth into a $1 million headline. The most exciting part? This penny doesn't announce its value. It hides in plain sight, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a little patience. Start with any 1994 penny that has the D Mint mark beneath the date. Flip it over, and under good lighting or a magnifying glass, inspect the Lincoln Memorial. focus on the vertical columns. If you see a faint, crisp doubling effect, like a soft shadow right beside each line, you may be holding one of the rarest modern pennies in existence. Collectors were shocked when the first ones surfaced. But now, every discovery sends waves through the numismatic community. Dealers are on high alert. Every new find pushes the market value higher. And every collector dreams of being the next lucky owner of this million-dollar anomaly. But here's the golden rule: don't rush. Take your time. Train your eyes. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny was almost thrown away. A tiny, worn-out coin sitting in a jar of pocket change. But when the auctioneer's hammer fell, it had just sold for nearly $1.7 million. And here's the twist: most people who see this penny wouldn't give it a second glance. They know this is one of the most thrilling mistakes in U.S. coin history. You see, in 1972, something went horribly wrong, or perfectly right, depending on how you look at it, at the Philadelphia Mint. The machines, churning out millions of Lincoln cents every day, made an error so subtle, so devilishly hard to spot, that only the most eagle-eyed collectors could uncover its secret. This wasn't just any penny. It was a double-die obverse. A man, who had no idea about rare coins, stumbled upon it while cleaning out his late father's drawer. The penny looked normal at first glance, just a 1972 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. But something strange caught his eye: the lettering. It looked blurry. The words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," seemed to have shadows, like a ghostly double image burned into the coin. Coin dealers were floored. This was the elusive 1972 double-die obverse penny, a mistake so valuable that collectors have been hunting it down for decades. Only a handful have ever surfaced in pristine condition, and when they do, auction houses ignite into bidding wars. When experts examined his coin under magnification, they realized it wasn't just a minor misprint. The doubling was bold, crisp, and unmistakable, a textbook example of a rare die strike error. The kind of error that happens in the blink of an eye at the mint but becomes worth a fortune to those who find it. And here's where the suspense deepens: there are still more out there. Hiding. Unfound. In jars, drawers, and coin rolls across America. The reason? It's a master of disguise. Unlike modern error coins with flashy color shifts or dramatic die cracks, the 1972 double-die obverse whispers its secret. The doubling is strongest in the motto and date, but it doesn't jump out unless you know exactly what to look for. It's subtle. Hidden. Yet once you see it, you can't unsee it. Collectors were shocked when a nearly flawless example sold for over $1 million at auction. And now, every seasoned collector, and even beginner hobbyists, are on a frantic hunt to uncover the next one. Not all 1972 pennies with slight doubling are valuable. There are several lesser varieties, but only one true Class 1 double-die obverse, the jackpot coin. And spotting the difference is like holding a treasure map that most people don't even know exists. One of the most legendary discoveries happened in a Midwest coin shop, where an elderly man brought in a small box of pennies to sell for face value. The dealer almost dismissed it, until a glimmer in the light revealed the unmistakable doubling on a 1972 cent. That penny ended up selling for over $850,000. Imagine that. A coin that could have been spent on a gumball turned into nearly $1 million payday. And here's the kicker: experts believe dozens more of these $1 million errors are still out there. Forgotten in piggy banks, loose change bowls, or tucked away in old rolls waiting for a sharp-eyed collector to claim their fortune. It's the boldness of the doubling. On the true 1972 double-die obverse, you'll see clear doubling on Liberty, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the numbers in the date itself. It's not a blur, not a smudge. It's a mirror-like shadow, a second impression that stands out once you tilt it under the light. But be warned, many coins have light mechanical doubling that's worthless. The real $1 million coin has deep, strong doubling that looks raised and three-dimensional. That's the telltale sign. And yet, this story isn't just about pennies. It's about dreams. About a forgotten piece of history, hiding in plain sight, just waiting to transform an ordinary person's life overnight. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Yours could be next. Grab a magnifying glass or even use your phone's macro lens. Look closely at every 1972 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. Focus on the inscriptions. Do the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust look doubled, like there's a second set of letters behind them? Check the numbers in the date. Are they shadowed or split? If the doubling looks flat, like a smear, it's not the one. But if it looks like a second raised image, you could be staring at a penny worth hundreds of thousands, or up to $1.7 million. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny was almost thrown away. It sat in a kitchen drawer for years, gathering dust, completely forgotten. But when a sharp-eyed collector finally noticed it, everything changed. That same penny would go on to sell for nearly $1.8 million. You see, sometimes the most ordinary things hide the most extraordinary secrets. And the 1981 no mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those hidden treasures, quietly waiting in circulation, right now. But why is this particular coin, something millions of people handled without a second thought, suddenly the obsession of collectors and dealers? The answer lies in a nearly invisible mistake, a minting anomaly so rare, it has left experts speechless. The story of this coin begins in 1981, a year before a major transformation in U.S. coin production. It was supposed to be just another Lincoln cent, mass-produced, unnoticed. But deep within the machinery of the Philadelphia Mint, something went wrong, very, very wrong. Most pennies that year left the mint floor flawless. But a tiny fraction, so small it's almost mythical, escaped with a defect invisible to most, yet explosive in the world of numismatics. One man in Ohio was sorting through an old jar of change when he noticed a penny that didn't quite look right. The surface shimmered differently under light, and the details of Lincoln's portrait seemed sharper. He almost ignored it. But curiosity got the best of him. That penny would later be authenticated as a rare 1981 no mint mark Lincoln penny with an ultra-rare double die reverse error. The coin community was electrified. Dealers scrambled. Bidding wars erupted. When the final gavel dropped at auction, the penny realized an unbelievable $1.8 million. But this wasn't a one-time phenomenon. Since that discovery, a handful of other 1981 no mint mark errors have surfaced, each sending ripples through the collector community. And here's the kicker: most people who own these million-dollar coins had no idea. They were sitting in pockets, drawers, and old coffee cans, completely overlooked. First, flip it over. The reverse side holds the magic. You're looking for a double die reverse, where the words 1 cent and United States of America appear slightly shadowed or doubled. It's not obvious at a glance. But under a magnifying glass, the doubling will jump out, almost like the letters are vibrating. Collectors were shocked when they realized this doubling was a direct result of a rare die misalignment, a minting error so scarce it's considered a once-in-a-decade anomaly. Next, check the mint mark, or rather, the absence of one. The Philadelphia Mint didn't place mint marks on pennies in 1981, which makes this hunt even trickier. You're not just looking for any no mint mark penny, you need the error coin with the doubled reverse detail. Some of these rare 1981 no mint mark pennies are hiding in plain sight because their minting error is subtle. Dealers say it takes a trained eye, but once you see it, you'll never forget it. One collector described it as a lightning bolt moment. He found his $1 million penny while searching through a routine roll of coins he bought from his local bank. That ordinary day turned into a life-changing discovery. The premium value doesn't come just from the doubling error, it's also about condition. High-grade examples, graded MS-67 or higher, have sold for astronomical figures. Even slightly worn coins can still fetch tens of thousands, but the pristine ones? They're the golden tickets. You're sifting through your loose change after a grocery run. You spot a 1981 penny. You flip it over, and under a magnifying glass, those doubled letters begin to appear. Your heart races. You realize you might be holding a treasure that could turn your entire life around. But what makes this coin's story even more unbelievable is how often it's mistaken for an ordinary cent. Dealers say they've seen these $1,000,000 pennies turned in at Coinstar machines, destined to be melted down for copper scrap, lost forever. Collectors are rushing, dealers are hunting, and the search is more competitive than ever. But here's the truth: there are still undiscovered 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies out there. They're sitting in junk drawers, old piggy banks, and forgotten change jars, waiting for someone like you to spot the difference. Look at every 1981 penny you come across, especially the reverse side. Focus on the lettering, 1 cent, and United States of America. If the doubling effect is there, even slightly, you could be holding something far beyond its face value. If the coin looks sharp, with no major scratches or wear, you've got a potential jackpot. But even circulated examples with the doubling error can be extremely valuable. The difference between a common penny and a $1,000,000 miracle is verification by a trusted grading service. This step has turned average people into millionaires, almost overnight. That exact penny, the one worth over $1,000,000, could be sitting in your drawer right now, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and a sharp eye to uncover its secret. Start your search today, because these hidden treasures are still out there. And when you find yours, your story will be the next to shock the entire coin collecting world.